next few minutes, you will build a simple button that responds to on-click events. And if you click on this button, what do you think is going to happen? Well, we're about to find out. So I'm going to go ahead and click this button. You can see that immediately I click the button, it's changed the background of the button. So this exactly is what we are building in this lesson. And by the end of the lesson, you will understand how the HTML DOM allows JavaScript to change the style of HTML elements. We will do this in 4 steps. Step 1, we will select the HTML element. Step 2, we will access the style property. In step 3, we are going to change the CSS property of the element. The last step is to display the change, which can happen either through interaction or immediate results. Now, let us build the button together to see the effect of the changes that will be perpetrated by JavaScript on the element. So here is my code, and inside this code, I have added some placeholder in order to make the process easy for us. So the first thing that I have here is that I put a comment to add a paragraph with an ID of P1. So let's add that paragraph inside this place. Our paragraph, we have an ID of P1. Let me put this text here, that this text will turn blue. So we have made paragraph here. Then let's come down and add a button element. So our button is going to have an ID of button. We are not making it here. Now, this is what I want us to do. We are going to add a button, and the button is going to have an ID of BTN. You can see it here inside the comments. So after the BTN, we are going to add a text, simple text like click me, and then we'll close the button. Now that we have done that, we can now move inside. I want to remove this because I want us to do it together. So I want to go inside my CSS. I've already pasted style for the button, so I will comment it so that it can reflect because of time. Now, you can see that I have a button that is more interactive and it looks better with the way it is displayed. Now, you might ask, what exactly is this ID doing in this element? The element that we want to control is what we have here as the tag. And then this ID helps JavaScript find the elements in your HTML. So by the time we go into the script tag, you will see how the ID can help JavaScript to identify the particular element that you want to manipulate. So let's move on and move into the script tag and start writing code that will interact with our elements that we want to manipulate. So the first thing is I want to select the element itself, which is the button. So I'm saying get the ID of this element. And what is that ID? The ID is the BTN. You can see that what we have here matches exactly what we have here as well. Now, this line connects JavaScript to this button. This way now, JavaScript can now control it. You can see that in this line, we have something called document. This document represents the whole web page where we can select elements that forms the web page. So the ID is what is used to find the ID of the elements that you want to change. So let's move on. And don't forget, I want to change the style of this element. So I'll just use the style property directly to pick the background of the element. I want to change the background to blue. So let me put blue color. And let's see. You can see that immediately I enter blue color as the color of choice. The button automatically changed from a white background to a blue color. So this way we are accessing the style of the button by using this style property that you can see here in my code. And then it changes the background. The reason why we are using the style is because every HTML element has a style properties that controls appearance. So that style property is what we are accessing here in order to be able to access the elements that we want to change. So this is one example of how you can use the JavaScript to change the style of your HTML elements. I can take this interactivity further by adding an on-click method to this button in order to change its background color. And how do we do that? We can simply add an on-click method under this and say button dot on-click. You can see it's already displayed to me here. And then make a function that will allow me access the style of this button. So now that I have this on-click function, if I click this button, what do you think is going to happen? Let's find out if there's going to be any changes or not. So I'm going to go ahead and click the button. And you can see that this changed the background of that button into color green. Now, this means that when we click the button, something happens. And what happens is that our button is reacting to a user action. Let's say on the web page, you have a button whereby you want, for example, maybe you want a pop-up form to load when someone click on login or sign up. So a button is one way to control an event like that. So when a user click on it, then it will bring out the form. So the exact thing is what happened here just now that you can see in this example. So we react to a user action. You might want to ask that what then is an on-click? This method that we just apply to the button here. The on-click is an event that runs code when the user clicks, just as the name sounds, on-click. So when you click on something, the reactions that code gives to you after you click on it is the on-click. So it's a method by which you can use to respond to user action when working in JavaScript. Two important things to note about the example is what is called property and event. So what exactly is a property? Property changes how an element looks. So it could be the color, it could be the size of the text or whatever. That is an example of property. And an event is what decides when something should happen. Whether when a button is clicked, whether an hovering is happening on a button, that is an example of an event, and it decides when something should happen or should fire in your code.